In 2022, the highly anticipated GTA 6 game suffered one of the most infamous leaks in gaming history. But it wasn't a sophisticated malware attack or a brute force hack that caused it. It was social engineering. A teenager tricked Rockstar Games employees by pretending to be an internal IT staff member, gaining unauthorized access to sensitive systems. This breach wasn't about technology, it was about human vulnerability. Today, we will uncover how social engineers exploit psychology, the tactics they use, and how you can defend yourself against the world's most effective hackers. So let's start with what is social engineering? Well, social engineering is the practice of manipulating people using many different strategies to get them to carry out your desired actions that they may not have taken otherwise. Imagine this. You're Luke. Your friend from work, James, asks you for some money. You don't really know why he needs it, so the most likely response you would give is no. But what if he contextualized it a bit more and made a convincing argument? What if he said, hey man, our manager said you will cover my lunch and he will pay you later. James has given a more convincing argument. Your manager is someone reliable who pays your wage. This is something that could occur in a business. Instead of having multiple people send a receipt, one person covers the cost and gets it refunded. It's much less hassle. You probably wouldn't check either. If you did, it might show distrust in your friend that could hinder the friendship. After all, why would he lie? Just from this example, it's clear to see that James has used authority, mentioning the manager, and familiarity, the fact that you're talking to a friend, to exploit you out of your lunch. Ultimately, someone who is carrying out social engineering can have many different goals, apart from stealing your lunch. Maybe you're not interested in becoming the best social engineer in the world, but you are still curious as to how you can defend yourself against the cruel, manipulative digital landscape we live in. Understanding the success criteria and the goals of social engineer will be key to defending yourself. After all, the popular phrase, know your enemy, didn't just come out of nowhere. Some of the most popular ones include information gathering, trying to get a better understanding of the person or business, accessing systems. Maybe the hacker is trying to get access to the new GTA 6 game before anyone else, bypassing security. It's incredibly hard to guess a 14-character password. It's much easier to trick someone into giving you access. Financial motives. Someone may convince you to give them gift cards or even your financial information. There are 7 telltale signs that can help identify whether you are being socially engineered. These are also helpful for anyone trying to get better at it. These include authority, intimidation, consensus-based, scarcity, familiarity-based, trust, and urgency. Some of these may seem quite obvious, whereas others not so much. Let's get into authority. Simply put, if someone seems to be in charge or have more knowledge than you, you're more likely to listen to them. If your manager was suddenly to tell you to start working on a new task, most people's first reactions is to do what you are told. Not many people would question it. In this situation, we have a police officer and yourself. Some questions to ask yourself are, do you know if the person is a police officer or are they impersonating one? Is there anything unusual about the uniform? What is the cause of the arrest? If this person was not a police officer, would you still be doing what you're doing right now? These are all important questions to ask yourself in this situation and can help in identifying a possible social engineer attempt. Intimidation is the process of threatening someone and forcing them to do something they wouldn't have done before. Imagine someone is holding you at gunpoint. You immediately feel like you must do as they say or you might die. Losing money or personal information is less important than your life. You would happily give that away if it meant you could keep your life. Intimidation follows the principle, if the victim cannot afford to lose what they are being threatened with, they will comply. Consensus is the method of using humans' natural want to fit in to do something they may have not done if they had known other people weren't doing it. For example, imagine if someone randomly sends you an email asking you to complete a satisfaction form for the office you are working in. The form is about to close, and at the moment, there is a 98% completion rate. The human's natural want to fit in may cause you to click on the link sent and submit a form. This can easily be exploited by a malicious actor if they have enough information to convince you that you are in the minority. Scarcity is all about making something more valuable based on the rationale that it will soon be out of stock due to the lack of supply or high demand. Like most of these psychological techniques, they play with the human's natural ability when making decisions. If there is an incredible sale on the newest iPhone within a certain supply, a lot of rationale will go out of the window, and the immediate thought is typically, I need to get it, it's going to run out. Imagine another example where there is a store doing an online sale on Jordans. All you know is that it is a limited sale on the shoes, but you don't know whether they even exist. A few people will see this and pay money for a pair of shoes that might not exist, all because it is on sale from retail price. Bargains can make people do things they wouldn't typically do. As seen earlier in this video, you're more likely to do something if it is coming from a friend or an organization you are affiliated with or like. For example, it's quite common for social engineers to impersonate someone that is known to the target. Social engineers wouldn't choose the closest of friends or families, as it would be easier for the target to see through this smokescreen, but impersonating a friend from years ago can increase the chance of success quite a bit. Similar to familiarity, trust is all about building that relationship. The social engineer starts from the bottom and needs to build that victim's trust. This is incredibly popular on dating apps. For example, someone may be financing a trip for an online relationship to finally meet in person. But once the money is sent, nothing comes from it. Urgency is the last key indicator of a social engineer attack. This is the feeling of needing to do something as quickly as possible, otherwise something bad could happen. It's different from intimidation, as the consequences related to the event that needs to occur. For example, having a gun pointed at you and sending money are not necessarily correlated, but running late to an exam may mean you missed the exam, and this is related. Another example could be your boss requesting some confidential information over email, otherwise the business could fail. This would cause your anxiety to shoot throughout your entire body and may mean you overlook the misspelled email, resulting in you sending confidential information to a stranger. Ultimately, everything relating to social engineering can be broken down into emotions. You are most vulnerable when you are emotional. Each one of the signs of social engineering mentioned before makes someone feel a certain way. To be successful at social engineering, it's important to tailor your attack to the target. Firstly, you need to understand your target. Who are they? Where do they work? What are their hobbies? Do they have a family? Who are their friends? This is all important when creating an attack. You have a 53% chance of interaction if you have a tailored attack rather than an 18% chance of interaction from a general attack. Secondly, you want to understand how the target will react with the prompt you have made. Maybe you tell them that their family member has just died. Majority of the cases, this would mean that they would get emotional. But maybe this person hated that family member and would lead to anger. Both these reactions can lead to different outcomes and therefore can hinder the success of your attack if you miscalculate the reaction. Lastly, you want to understand what action the target could do as a result of the emotion they are feeling. People handle emotions differently. Some compartmentalize, some are extremely action orientated. Maybe you threaten someone. Your action could be anxiety, but someone may decide to comply, whereas the other person may try to do their best to find out who you are and report you to the police. It can be incredibly difficult to create the best social engineer attack due to the imperfect information you have. There are many technical and non-technical attacks that leverage the principles I mentioned earlier. Each one may require a different level of skill, however, all are a threat no matter who is behind them. You may have heard of phishing, but simply put, it is the process of fraudulently acquiring sensitive information via email. There are other types of phishing which either change the target or they change the medium of the message. For example, smishing, which is phishing over SMS messages, vishing, which is phishing over voice, spear phishing, where you are targeting a specific individual, whaling, where you are targeting important people such as CEOs, CFOs, or government officials. This is a classic example of phishing, where the social engineer is attempting to impersonate Netflix. It is using urgency and familiarity to trigger an emotion to update the account details. Here, the social engineer is using SMS to try and convince you that your mailing service is faulty. It is also using familiarity and urgency to get you to click on the link provided. Here, the social engineer is imitating Obama to get you to send money over to him. Now, in a real world scenario, this would not lead you to do anything. However, someone could just as easily do this with your loved one.
Hey, it's me, Obama. I need some money quickly.
This is a targeted attack on someone. They use the correct name and is targeting them with something they probably have, a 401k. Here, the social engineer is targeting someone in a position to make a $1 million transaction on behalf of the business. There are a few defenses you can use to minimize the success of a phishing attack. The best is awareness training. This means teaching yourself about phishing, running simulated exercises, and creating guidelines on how to respond to phishing attempts. The second is content filtering. This is using a tool that sits between the user's inbox and the email server and filters what is junk and what is an authentic email based on reputation of the email and the keywords used inside the email. Another social engineering technique is credential harvesting. This is the process of acquiring credentials. For example, this could be from someone clicks a link to your website which may steal that person's cookies. It could be logging into a website that looks identical to the real website but in fact is an imitation used to steal credentials. It could be sending your credentials to a threat because of a successful phishing attack. Some defenses against this include using MFA, so even if someone gets a hold of your credentials, they still need the MFA token to successfully enter. Awareness training, like mentioned before, and content filtering. Websites can also be used by social engineers to help them succeed in their attacks. These include farming, typo squatting, and watering hole. Typo squatting is the process of creating similar looking websites to popular ones and making the website URL similar to it. You then rely on users incorrectly typing in the link so that they land on your page instead. Watering hole is where you compromise the original website and use it to host malicious activities such as downloading malware and harvesting credentials. Spam is also treated as a social engineering attack. This is just junk mail being sent to you with the hope that you would click on it and open any links inside of it. It exploits the principle of if you send enough messages, someone is bound to interact with it. Spam is just spam over instant messaging, but is not really a popular term. Shoulder surfing is the process of looking over someone's shoulder to capture passwords or other data. This can also include looking through mirrors and reflections. Tailgating is the process of following someone who has access to a location protected by a security door and hoping that they let you in as a sign of courtesy. Prepending is the add-in of the expression safe to an email header to give a false perception of security to the recipient. Pretexting is the process of using made-up scenarios to justify why you are approaching someone. Identity fraud is just an attacker using someone else's identity. Hoaxes is where an attack would use false information to convince the target of something. Invoice scams is all about sending fake invoices to organizations with the hopes of receiving a payment from them. This has a high success rate with bigger companies as they assume they always have a payment to be made, whereas a smaller company is much more strict with their money. Influencer campaigns is the process of using someone's online presence to influence people into a narrative of your choosing. This is also known as propaganda, misinformation, or information warfare. Ultimately, all of these social engineering techniques can be, and most likely would be, combined together to make higher quality attacks. It is incredibly hard to handle social engineering attacks simply because we are humans with emotions, and because of our emotions, we are susceptible to illogical responses. The best thing we can do is learn about social engineering, which you're already doing now, and implement guidelines and processes in your life to minimize the chance of an attack. Let's now take a look at some popular examples of social engineering in recent years. As mentioned in the beginning of this video, GTA 6 is one of the most anticipated games finally being released next year. However, in late 2022, gameplay of GTA 6 in the later stages of development was leaked. The hacker gained access to many information repositories such as Slack and Confluence, and was able to download and extract debugging footage of early game development. It is alluded to that the attack was successful due to the use of employee login credentials gained through acts of social engineering. Another case study that wasn't as recent but still incredibly interesting was from Kevin Mitnick's career. Kevin Mitnick was one of the most influential people in the cybersecurity world. He made hacking look simple and was one of the best at social engineering. He pretended to be a Pacific Bell employee to gain access into internal systems for the company. He tricked a Motorola employee into faxing confidential source code by pretending he was a colleague needing it urgently for a project. At the time, the success rate for these things could have been higher due to lack of awareness training. However, it does not discredit his innovation in the social engineering landscape. At a point in time, he was the most wanted man in America, who later was made a hero in the cybersecurity world. He even said, "I didn't have to hack into anything. All I had to do was ask." If you are interested to see the start of social engineering in the early ages of computers, I would highly recommend his book, Ghost in the Wires, which tells you all about his social engineering attacks and all the adventures he went on. In 2020, during a certain world-shaking event, hackers were able to get access to 130 high-profile Twitter accounts and set up a crypto scam that would urge people to send them some money, and they would receive double back in crypto. The attack was possible due to social engineering. Unauthorized access was obtained to backend tools, which allowed them to leverage the entry point to seize control of accounts. But what does the future of social engineering look like? Well, there is definitely going to be an increase in AI-generated deepfake voices and videos. I believe personalized phishing attacks are going to be made easier with the help of LLMs and access to information online. Influencer attacks are going to become more popular simply because there are so many more celebrities than there originally was. In 2024, part of the IBM security report, it was revealed that social engineering attacks increased by 17%, making them the fastest growing category of cyber threats. I believe this will go higher thanks to improvements in LLMs. In the Verizon 2023 Data Breach Investigations report, it showed that 74% of breaches involved a human element, including social engineering, errors, or misuse. This just shows how vulnerable humans are to digital attacks. Proofpoint's 2024 Human Factor Report highlighted that 99% of successful cyber attacks required human interaction. This emphasizes how critical social engineering is with regards to cybersecurity. I believe individuals, organizations, and governments need to step up in the education of cybersecurity, especially with regards to social engineering. With a world constantly moving towards more technology, this will become an even bigger point of worry. At the end of the day, technology can only take us so far. It's awareness, critical thinking, and vigilance that truly protects us. So stay sharp, stay informed, and remember, the best defense against social engineering starts with you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread the video to build awareness. If you made it this far, comment down below what you would like to see next. I appreciate you all, and stay safe.